So, I want to point out, I am by no means a believer in this stuff, in the strong sense, and will get nothing out of lying to get some attention or any of that rubbish. I just realized my life has been pretty subpar, for the most part. However, this one encounter is quite a tale in my life. Let's go. So I used to, in the summer or various other holidays, go to stay around my cousin's house in Leicester whenever I could, because we loved each other's company. He was bar one other person's the coolest mate I had at that age. Anyway, his house seemed pretty old, nothing like a spooky mansion or anything. I mean, it was a modern home, but from the stonework and the local buildings, it looked like an old, decrepit area. Anyway, he had a staircase in the dining room that led around and up to a giant hallway, which for some reason was always barren, meaning like it had nothing in it, no pictures or drawers or cabinets, etc. And I'm guessing I know now why that is. But as a kid, you pay no attention to any of that. Anyway, all I remember was that giant hallway, which always seemed to me to be cold, and the vibe was off, meaning like I always felt uncomfortable and strange, but being a kid, I could not put my finger on it. So I always used to ask a parent if they could accompany me to the toilet, because it was on the other side of this hallway. And bear in mind, when I say hallway, it's like a giant square one, not a typical rectangle, narrow one, like it could be a whole bedroom, if it wanted. So anyway, sometimes parents would come, and sometimes they would say, "Go on your own. We are all down here, so nothing's going to happen." So I always remember either calming myself, talking to myself, or running across it. And as soon as I got to the toilet and closed the door, I felt safe again, and that uncomfortable feeling went away. Although I hated the idea of going across it again. Also, I remember waiting for my cousin to finish school, because ours finished a day earlier than theirs sometimes. So I went to wait in his sister's room, right next to that hallway. And I remember it always feeling off, considering the hallway was next to us. And lastly, my cousin lived in the loft, meaning he had stairs that went down into that hallway, and his bed faced it, meaning you from the bed could look down into said hallway, meaning I was on a double-edged sword, meaning I either slept with my back to it, which put me on edge of a sword as you face the stairs, where a face could pop out between the barriers, which never did from memory, but it could have. Anyway, to the incident, I think I've explored enough context for you to get the idea and build the place in your mind. So it goes like this. The parents left us with the older sister whilst they went out, meaning the house was parentless, and we heard this loud bang and crashing noise upstairs. So we all looked at each other and went, "What was that?" The older sister said, "Stay behind me," whilst we went upstairs to check it, thinking it could be a burglar or something, but unlikely, as it's a hard place to row based on the house design and all of us. And I mean, all my sister, his sister, and even the dog went upstairs together. I mean, we looked like a stand-in crew for a Scooby-Doo episode when this opaque white figure, the typical white ghost in a sheet design, went woo and came right towards us in a flash and right through us, which we all freaked and got an icy chill, and it laughed as it went round the corner, and when it hit the light, after going down the stairs, I could see a shadow and hear laughter. When the parents came back, we told them what happened, but they didn't believe us and told us we made it up. Do you think we saw a ghost? Was that place haunted? She's been my longest and oldest friend since the 5th grade, and has always claimed she is a psychic medium who can see and talk to ghosts. Everywhere she went, she said she could see them. Sometimes they were just shadows, sometimes just a presence, sometimes a full-blown apparition. The one I remember most was a ghost named Jim, or something, who was an old man who she would see in her closet. Not malevolent or anything. To me, that was creepy as hell, but she always seemed unfazed. As a kid, I believed it, but then grew out of it and assumed she did too. I moved states and didn't see each other for a couple of years until I went to visit for the summer and we reunited. We were sitting in the living room watching TV and catching up when I popped the question jokingly, "Any ghosts around?" She said there were a couple, but the one that caught her attention most was an old lady outside my mum's bedroom. "Yeah, right," I'm going in my head. I'm a firm believer in science, psychology, and logic. I also believe that the human brain is powerful and loves to play tricks on us as projections of our own fears. I've always taken people's experiences with a respectful nod and a grain of salt. I humor her and ask her for details. She says she's an older woman from Texas who might be related to my mom and me. She's Native American. I realize that this brief description fits my dead nana, but that's probably a coincidence. We're in Texas. Everyone has a dead grandma, and she knows my mom is part Native American. I asked her specific questions, and she got them all correct. The name of her husband, how long I knew her before she died, the gift she gave me as a baby, and which of her children were dead or alive. My final straw was when I pointed to a portrait on the wall with her kids and asked her, which of those girls was a party-goer who always got in trouble? And she got it right. At this point, I'm properly spooked, but I'm still in denial. I've known her for a while. Is there no chance she stumbled across an old picture album? Overheard a conversation with my mom and me about her. Hell, what if I told her myself and just forgot? We've known each other for 8 years, so there's no chance I've forgotten some conversations from then. She tells me there's another ghost who is a man who wants to communicate. I ask him a variety of questions, pushing aside my slight unease as I'm thoroughly entertained by this whole ordeal. Either she's lying and really committed and I want to see how far I can push her, or she's telling the truth and we're actually talking to a ghost. I ask questions like, how old was he when he died, and what did he do when he was alive? I even jokingly asked what his type was, and if he was single. We stop talking for a bit, and are messing around on our phones in silence, looking down and not in each other's peripheral vision. I suddenly get this inexplicable chill on the right side of my neck, which I ignore, chalking it up to some kind of breeze or mental thing. It was so minuscule and obsolete to me that I had no reaction or even looked up from my phone. I will say it felt different than the usual chill. It was almost concentrated, like something icy pressed against me. Then she looks up at me and verbatim says, "I just got an image in my mind of him touching your neck." She mimics the motion. It's on the same side and spots right beneath my jaw, and my heart sank to my asshole. The sheer coincidence of the placement, the action, the previous shit before this. I genuinely was so freaked out. And while it's not as major or scary as other people's stories, it's enough for me to question my beliefs. I still am kind of a skeptic. I chalk most things up to just be figments of our imagination. But I take people's stories more seriously now. A lot of people who fake being mediums and psychics usually do it for attention or money. But my friend gets nothing from it. In fact, she has a very much annoyed, just ignore it attitude. This is what makes me think she might not be lying, she doesn't want anything from it, and actually doesn't talk about it a lot. She's not trying to creep anyone out at all, Campfire. She's not trying to get internet fame or scam some people into buying a palm reading at a little table. It's just something she lives with. And goddamn, what a shitty thing to live with if she actually does. Have you ever encountered something you couldn't explain? a place, a sound, a presence that defied logic? Share your story with us. Send your experiences via email or voice note, and your tale might be featured in our next video. Until next time, remember, some stories are best left untold, but not this one.